Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Chatting With. And today, I'm chatting with Gregory Kramer and from Pro Wrestling Zones, Rick Del Santo.
What's up, everybody?
And,
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
and I thought we would start with, and which I actually recently talked with somebody else with it, which both of you already know anyway. Just the video ain't up yet. Uh, Vince McMahon stepping down.
Is that true?
No, it's just
Oh, hypothetically. Okay, jeez. I was going to say, I must have really not been paying attention.
Yeah.
Like everybody is wanting him to or thinks he's going to because he's been sick, which just like me and I might as well reveal it now anyway on the channel. The DVD Freak said after we filmed our video for his channel, he's not going to sit down until after he dies.
Yeah,
I think it's a very, very good chance that he'll die in office still. At the same time, if not, how old was his dad when he died? In his 50s, early 60s, and now he's like what, 75 years old or 73. Yeah. So he's outlived his father. So I think that there's a good chance that he'll. I don't know. He might resign. His dad resigned, obviously, but I don't know. He's gone through and outlived everything his father did, and made the sport way bigger than his father ever did. So there's a very good chance he just might die while he's still the chairman of the board.
Yeah, I agree.
The Freak said that he thinks that Triple H or Stephanie won't run in the company. Would you agree with his statement?
They won't run the company? I think that they will. I think that's Triple H and Stephanie definitely. There's a very, very good chance that Vince has been grooming Hunter for a very long time to take that position.
So I believe they will. It's just it's kind of iffy on they will or not. See what going on to the next topic. Unless you have anything else to add on that.
No, I just think I think that Triple H is a very good chance that he's going to end up taking over. I mean, Triple H and Steph. It's been said for years that Stephanie was going to be the leader at some point. Shane, I guess, was not interested in that. I don't know if there was some sort of animosity between him and the rest of the family, but you never know. I think that if Hunter took it, I think that we'd be in store for a huge change as far as what actually happens. I think it's going to be more wrestling based and less bullshit. Am I allowed to swear in here?
It's very interesting that you brought up Shane because Shane is actually a 25% owner of the company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe no matter when Vince dies, he's just going to gain 25%.
It's but I don't know if he will have any kind of like control interest in the company at all.
Say going on to the next topic, JBL's WWE title run from from 2004 to 2005. What's your thoughts on it?
At the time, I hated it. I always thought that I could not believe that. That was a very weird time for professional wrestling. WWE was still just getting its traction after all the other companies closing. So they were the number one, and I don't know if it was just like not a lot of people were paying attention necessarily, but it was. I just thought it was an odd choice for somebody like him to get the world title.
Yeah, 2005 was a weird year after Eddie's passing, and
yeah, it was very somber,
Yeah.
Well, Eddie actually died late 2005, though.
Was it later? Okay.
Yeah, he died in November.
Eddie died in November of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And JBL lost the championship at WrestleMania 25 or 21 uh, earlier in the year.
Yeah.
It was just a weird period. It was just a weird period. I don't know why they chose him. Maybe they just didn't have anybody else that would be loyal to the company, I guess, with the world title.
So to me, it was a great run that he had. Looking back at it, but if you really think of that as well, there's not that really many people that you would have put the title on at the time.
Right. I have to go back and watch that era because it's like it's not an era that I was particularly fond of. He has some great wrestlers, but I wasn't watching a whole lot at that time period.
Yeah, I don't really remember 2005 a lot.
Yeah.
So,
And it was 15 years ago or 16 years ago, so I'd really have to, go up and study on it and watch a lot of footage to try to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of hard to remember anyway, knowing time span of it.
Right.
What's your thoughts on WWE's wasting the talent?
That's been something they've been doing forever, ever since I was a kid. Sometimes, even in the 80s, they'd bring in somebody from the territories that, when Vince was buying up all the territories, and we lost somebody. We lost Greg. We'd end up, there'd just be guys that would just all of a sudden, they were big stars somewhere else, and they'd come in, and it ended up getting destroyed or jobbed out. I mean, look at guys like Dirty Dick Slater or, Outback Jack, stuff like that. It just turned in, they would just ruin a lot of guys like that, and they still do it today.
Okay, we had some technical difficulties. Ricky was saying about the wasted talent.
Oh, it's just been something that's been happening ever since I can remember, since I was a kid. You know, they bring in territory guys and they job them out. You know, they could be big names, like I said, Dirty Dick Slater, anybody, guys like that. They would just bring them in and they would just destroy them. And it just, there's always lots of wasted talent. I mean, who do you guys think is a wasted talent today on the main roster?
That's kind of a hard one.
I'll put it easily. Anyone that was called up from NXT.
Yeah,
that's a rhythm. If you notice with Vince McMahon, he'll call somebody up. You know, how many of the guys now on the main roster were former NXT guys? You could also make the argument that both Seth and Roman Reigns were NXT talents as well when they came into the company, and look at how well they're doing. You know, but there's also, but I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, I do agree with you, but for the most part, there's, you know, wasted talent involvement. Look at Keith Lee. Look at Chad Gable. Chad Gable is probably the worst of them. They do. Look at Drew Gulak, who, you know, they gave the Cruiserweight title, and then now he's just, who did he lose to last week? Did he job out to AJ Styles? Was that who it was last week?
Yep.
I think he did.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fucking shame. I mean, am I allowed to swear in here? I'm sorry if I'm using foul language. But, you know, it's just kind of sad because it's like Drew Gulak's probably one of the greatest wrestlers today, like legit wrestler. You know what I mean? I'm not saying. And that guy could actually work, you know, and he's going out there and jobbing in just a few minutes to AJ. Not that AJ's not awesome. AJ's great, you know, phenomenal even, if you will. But, you know, I just think that it's kind of sad that they do that to pure wrestlers. I mean, I guess Daniel Bryan's pretty lucky that he's in the position that he's in, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And just to say, name a tag team that before they left WWE, the Rebel, now known as FTR. They was misused when they was in the company.
Yeah.
Great tag team. And look at all the stuff they've put them through. That stupid feud with the Usos where they were just pulling pranks on them. They caught them shaving their back and, you know, in the locker room, stuff like that. I just thought it was so dumb. And it was just they looked like to embarrass some of their talent, it looks like. I mean, you know, obviously, but it's like they're on TV, they're playing a role, but it's ridiculous.
And today, I believe in pushing the great talent instead of the bad talent.
Yeah, but they're going to push talent they're going to push talent that makes some money. You know what I mean? Becky Lynch, if you will. So, I mean, you don't think she's honestly great, do you? But she makes dollars. She brings the money. So they're going to push them. I mean, do you think Hulk Hogan was a great wrestler? Honestly.
No.
If you watch his matches, compare his matches to his matches in Japan. Completely different style. You know what I mean? But he wasn't a great wrestler, but Vince saw money in him, and Hogan brought in millions. So, of course, they're going to... Same thing with John Cena. He wasn't a very good wrestler either, but he brought in money.
It's like Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
He's not
terrible.
a good wrestler. He's a good guy. He's one of my favorites besides Razor, but he only had 5 moves.
He's injury prone too. He could walk down the road or walk down the aisle and break his knee just walking down the aisle. You know what I mean? It's like anything he does, he gets injured.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah, he's in his 60s now.
Is he that old? Jesus. Wow.
He's like 61, I think, or 62.
Oh, wow. It's crazy, man.
During quarantine, I read up about Kevin Nash. I was so bored one day.
That's all right. I've studied a lot during quarantine and started a podcast.
I studied about Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. My brother's like, if I hear about Kevin Nash and Scott Hall one more time, I'm going to kill you.
Is your brother a wrestling fan?
No, he's not. He hates it. He's like, he likes the Attitude Era. I'm like, Lou, I'm like, Lou, it's never coming back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
He's like, but. I'm like, after the whole Benoit thing, they had to make it PG. He doesn't really understand it.
I mean, when I grew up in the '80s, wrestling was PG.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also, and it was one of the most successful eras. But a lot of people are complaining today. It's just that it's not has nothing to do with there's PG or attitude. It's they have shitty writers. They have writers rather than bookers, and so they have no idea what the hell's going on.
They don't even know what they're doing half the time. I'm like, oh.
They don't. They don't.
Well, that's actually one thing that me and Freak was talking about after recording about they're having not writers that doesn't know about the wrestling business.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They hire like Hollywood writers basically.
That's what Freak said.
Yeah. Script writers for TV, writers for movies. They get there's some of these people are just they're getting their their words in, whatever. And they can't write anything of any intelligence. They get storylines that last 3-4 weeks, and then for the next pay-per-view, a whole another thing happens. How long do you think Randy's face is going to be burnt up? I bet you anything he comes out on next Sunday for the Royal Rumble, no mask, he's got no burn marks. You know what I mean? It's like they're not gonna. There's no sense of reality in there. It's all just a bunch of BS. These guys have no idea what the hell they're doing.
Well, yeah, I seen a still picture of when the fireball being thrown at his face, and it completely looks like it missed his face and just went right by his.
Well, if you look at it, how many times did they shoot everything with camera angles now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now seeing that they do a lot of pre-tape stuff, so a lot of it is different takes over and over and over. Obviously, you can see fucking from that match with Alexa and the other one, Asuka, there was she came out in a different outfit in the middle of the match. She changed characters, and then once the match is over, she went back to the other one. They're just cutting and splicing different material, and it's aggravating. I think this is probably the worst era for Monday Night Raw. That was one of the worst episodes I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, the last couple Raws, they got to make it 2 hours. The 3-hour mark, you're like, oh, come on. It's like 10:40. I'm like, I got work the next day, and they're like,
yeah,
the main event. I'm like, put it on like 10:30.
Well, the thing with that is, like, I wake up early too. I probably wake up at about 7:00. So I got to work in the morning, and I try to do stuff. You know what I mean? I can't sit there like I can go sit in the vent for 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you go to a Monday Night Raw back in the day, it'd probably be 4 hours worth of recording. They'd probably do some other stuff outside of the episode. But it's 3 hours to sit through, and it's not like they added having more matches or having quality matches. It's just they have the same amount of matches. They have more in between match skits, and they have more commercial breaks in the matches. And there's just nothing really interesting that's going on there either.
Well,
it's like the same matches every week. You're like, what's going on? I'm like, Asuka versus Alexa Bliss. I'm like, I just saw this last week.
I don't even want to see that. I love Asuka, but I don't want to see that match at all.
I'm a big Alexa Bliss fan, but I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it's starting to get old.
Yeah, they're supposed to be. Aren't they supposed to be wrestling at the Rumble too?
They probably are.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about time, which if you record Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, or NXT, and just sit down and watch it, you can get Raw done within 2 hours, then the other 3 done within an hour and a half.
Yeah, I did it a couple times.
I usually get Raw done in about an hour, half hour tops. Sometimes that's how much I fast forward through it. It's just if I don't actually watch it live often. This past Monday, I just so happened to, but I fast forward through the majority of it. It's frustrating and aggravating. And why that Randy Orton promo in the beginning went almost 15 freaking minutes? How? Why? Nobody cared about that. Even I was listening to the radio show the next day. They were saying it was probably one of the worst segments, and it was waiting for it to get over. I know a lot of people just shut it off at that point.
People are like, oh, I'm gonna watch football. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm not a football fan.
I hate it.
I'm not.
So
I'm
do
a
I.
professional Yeah, I'm a professional wrestling fan. That's my sport of choice.
Yeah,
I just like. There's just too much bull crap that they do, especially on like Monday Night Raw. It's like he's using a lot of like the same tactics that he did in the '90s with the Attitude Era. It's just they're more PG now, and they're just not working. However, SmackDown's been on fire lately. It's been a lot better than it has in the past.
Oh yeah.
Especially the last 2 weeks, I think they've had some really great matches on there. Daniel Bryan's had like some really awesome matches. And who did Nakamura wrestle last Friday? Do you guys remember? I remember that being a really good match. I'm trying to remember. And then
Jey-Uso.
Yeah.
There you go. It was a really good match.
That was.
And Cesaro had a match too that was phenomenal.
Daniel Bryan.
Yes. And I mean, those two have wrestled each other in the past before on the Indies, and that was a really awesome match. And who do you guys think is going to win the Royal Rumble?
That is a hard one.
Well, in my last video for my channel for 2020, the one I did with Mark Boy 316, I was trying to do me and him was trying to pick the Royal Rumble winners as well. And neither one of us could pick one.
I think I picked 3 people that could possibly be. Number 1, Daniel Bryan. In this order.
That's actually number 1 for right now on the betting odds.
Yeah. Yep. Betting odds on professional wrestling, a fixed sport. It's amazing. Number 2, the way that Shinsuke's been booked the last few weeks, I think that they're getting ready to put him up at that level. Number 3, I think there's a very good chance Cesaro might take it. But I think it's definitely going to be a SmackDown guy this year.
I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan. I heard it's his last run.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be a family man. I'm like, kudos for him. Great. He wants to be with Brie.
Exactly. Yeah.
He wants to be with Brie, and people are like, oh, he's going to AEW. I'm like, no, he wants to be a family man. He will
not go to AEW. Trust me.
People are like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, buddy, you're talking to a wrestling genius. And they're like, you're wrong. I'm like, I'm never wrong about wrestling. He's
got a job already for when he retires in WWE in Korea.
Oh yeah, he could be a.
They've already spoke that he's going to be working behind the scenes for WWE.
If Vince likes you, he's going to give you a job.
Yeah. Look at the guys. Look at the guys that have worked behind the stage, backstage. They're still there. You know what I mean? It's just Pat Patterson basically had a job for his whole entire life. Gerald Briscoe as well. You know.
Or Truth is going to get a job after he retires.
It's very possible. Yep. What else, Donnie?
I'd say before we move on, I will say for my pick for the men's anyway, would have to be either Daniel Bryan or maybe AJ Styles. Because
I'm not going to doubt that.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility. It is a possibility.
It's the same thing as what Greg said about Daniel Bryan for one more run applies to AJ Styles.
Yeah, AJ's another one. He wants to be a family man.
Yeah, he's
and there is a
when he made his recent contract, one of the things was that he was going to be working less dates, and I don't know about the money part, that he wanted to work less dates because he wanted to be with his family more. But obviously he didn't know the pandemic would happen, so he's probably home even more now.
Yeah.
See, I heard a rumor from the Sports Entertainer about AJ Styles that he's going to retire in 2021.
It's very possible. It's very possible. I mean, you never know what will happen. I don't know what else he would do outside of it. I mean, he's still young. He's younger than me by quite a few years, actually. By a few years. So
he's in his early.
Is he really? So he's probably a year younger than me by maybe 5 years. So I can't really picture him retiring, maybe doing like one-offs here and there, but
Or maybe doing meet and greets, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, everybody does the meet and greets, that's like a regular thing.
Yeah.
But
What's your thoughts on the King of the Ring tournament?
King of the Ring tournament? I love tournaments. I'm a huge tournament type person. So I'd love to see something, whether it be the King of the Ring or whatever, come back. Have you guys been watching the Dusty Classic?
Yeah, on NXT.
Yeah. I watched. It started last week, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't watch last night's episode yet, but I guess they're expanding it to go on 205 Live as well.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched 205 Live, and now they're doing the women's Dusty too. There's a lot of stuff going on in NXT brands lately, huh? So.
Another fellow YouTuber said NXT is going to kick AEW's butt in 2021.
We'll see. It's very hard to say. I mean, I like them both. I like them both a lot. But,
honestly, I like NXT last night better than AEW.
I didn't watch NXT yet. I watched AEW, and I thought it was atrocious. It was probably one of the worst episodes I've seen from them. So I can imagine that NXT was better. There's been plenty of times I like AEW. There's once in a while that they're just don't deliver. There's a few times they don't deliver. Excuse me.
The beginning of AEW, I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
And NXT, I watch both at the same time, so I'm like,
I just don't have the patience to that. I wish that I could, but I usually sometimes I'll just put one on, like NXT on. I watch AEW live, then put NXT on right after. Last night I didn't. I just went straight to bed. I was really tired. I was, like I said, on vacation for a few days, so I just went straight to bed because it was my first day back to work, so I wanted to get some extra rest.
There you go.
I'll try to watch NXT maybe after this, depending on what time we get done.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. Did the Fight Pit match not happen?
Yeah, that was the main event.
Oh, it did happen?
Yeah, it did happen.
I bet you that was a kick-ass match. I mean, those two guys are serious. Timothy Thatcher's pretty freaking awesome. So is Ciampa. So
if I had to rate it, I would have to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
That's pretty high rating. So NXT, like I said, that's probably my favorite wrestling show to watch. But I don't watch it live ever. I usually just try to keep up with the AEW as much as I can. But there's just times I'm not really completely into it. You know what I mean? As far as AEW goes, I like it, but there's just times I'm not really into it.
Yeah.
But it was much needed for the industry because it was something that needed some breath of fresh air, if you will.
There's been rumors / speculations of a new version of the NWO or a new creation of the NWO. Do you think that's true? First of all,
no. No one can beat the old NWO.
There's always been factions in professional wrestling. I mean, not always, but you know what I mean. The Horsemen, Paul Jones' Army, the original Midnight Express, which was a faction. What's the other one?
DX.
DX, yeah, and all that stuff like that. There's been factions in professional wrestling. So, I mean, there could be another faction, but I would pray that they would never call it the NWO.
Yeah.
Well, it started before WrestleMania 36 last year, but things just kept on, or one thing that really helped prove the point that the NWO might be coming back with new members is the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena and being more or less pretending to be a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Neither do I.
It won't work.
Yeah, it won't work, especially in this day and age. They can create something like a faction with a group of people, but if it was NWO related in any way, shape, or form, it's just ridiculous.
They created a faction already called Retribution, and look what they did to it.
It started out really strong, but it just failed miserably.
And say, I would hate to see what they would do for a new version of the NWO if they already ruined the Retribution.
Well, they job them all out.
Basically, all they do is job them out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple factions in WWE right now between, Retribution. Let's see, the Hurt Business is one.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
To me, right now, the Hurt Business is the best faction. Right now,
they are.
It took me a little while to get used to them, but it's like the amount of talent. Can't believe I'm saying that with Bobby Lashley involved, but the amount of talent. Yeah. I mean, Shelton Benjamin's probably is a fantastic wrestler, as is Cedric Alexander, and MVP. He's all right. He's not too bad, but Bobby's a legit amateur wrestler, so I just don't really like him as a professional wrestler. Some people told me he had a really great run in TNA, but I wasn't watching TNA at the time, so I'm not really familiar.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I do.
I saw something of it. I saw something about it the other night. He beat was it Eddie Edwards for the TNA title? Was that it? I think they replayed part of it on their episode or something like that.
I believe that he did.
Yeah. So what else you got?
Since we're on the TNA anyway, let's go on to Aces and Eights.
What's your thought? Because that's also another era that I wasn't watching. I didn't watch. I stopped watching TNA/Impact for about a good 8 years because they pissed me off.
Yeah,
one show.
Same here.
One show pissed me off, and I just turned it off and didn't watch for forever. If you remember,
Aces and Eights was around 2013, 2014, if not a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, it was 2010. They kept building up for this gigantic thing, and I've told the story so many times on the podcast that they kept building up for this gigantic thing that's going to happen. Gigantic. It's going to be the greatest thing to happen to TNA. And then it kept building up to 10-10-10, October 10th, 2010. So all of a sudden that day comes, and I'm sitting in front of my TV ready for something awesome to happen. I mean, what happens? Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan talking for 50 minutes. The first hour of the 2-hour program, not one match during the first hour. It's just them cutting one long ass fucking promo for an hour. I turned it off. Didn't go back until about 2017, 2018.
What?
Once they got new management, it took a lot of convincing of my buddy to get me to actually turn it on. But I ended up watching Slammiversary in 2018. I thought it was a great show. And then I started watching their TV show. I found myself Bound for Glory that year, and that was one of the greatest shows I've ever been to in my life as far as going to wrestling shows.
Yeah, a lot of people giving that era, the Hulk Hogan Bischoff era of TNA a lot of crap. That's when I started watching TNA, so I enjoyed it.
Well, he was very political. Like, he didn't want people like Christopher Daniels getting a push. If he didn't like you or whatever, he would just, push you to the side and made sure you were fired or something like that. And I just thought that was kind of fucked up because at that time period, he was a freaking dinosaur. There was no reason for him to even be there. He was irrelevant at that time.
I didn't even know anything about TNA until a friend of mine told me about it, and that was shortly after the Bischoff and Hogan era started in TNA.
I started watching really early on. I started watching with the 4th episode. Now, do you remember when they were doing pay-per-view only on Wednesday nights?
Yeah,
I heard about it.
Yeah.
They used to show it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, yep. It was every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock for $10. And I just remember buying I didn't know about it But I heard about it one day. I was just sitting there watching TV, and I was like, "Oh, what's this? NWA TNA? Never heard of this." And saw there's Jeff Jarrett and yada yada. And I was like, "Shit!" So I bought it and watched it, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So I started watching every episode after that. And it wasn't, like I said, 2010, and they had their ups, downs, and all this other stuff. That once 2010 hit, it was just blah, man. It took me about 8 years to get back into them. And so I'm not very familiar with aces and eights, is my answer to your question. I know it just took me about a good 5 minutes to explain it to you, but I know there was Bully Ray and D'Lo Brown, right? Am I wrong? Or am I right?
D'Lo Brown was part of it. So was Devon. Mr. Kennedy was also part of it. Trying to think of more, but I can't think of all of them. It's Aces and Eights is very similar to the NWO. They had a lot of them.
That's what I figured.
Because it was Aces and Eights was very similar to NWO.
Yeah.
And one thing I know you will be able to talk about is moves being overdone.
That guy's ridiculous.
He's a good wrestler.
He's all right. He's not bad. He's it's really hard to explain because he's one of those guys I don't want to like, but I do kind of like him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just he's pretty decent, and he has some pretty decent matches. And for a guy his size, he's really tall and muscular. He can move very well. So, you know, he's not that bad. I mean, I guess I don't give him enough credit, but because he kind of comes off as annoying. But I like what they're doing with him with the TNA belt now at this time period. And his feud with EC3 I liked a lot too.
Oh yeah.
So do you watch Impact, Greg?
No, I used to watch it on Twitch, then I watched it once. Actually, you inspired me to watch it you and Dan's podcast, and I was like, "Oh, check it out." And I watched it once, and that was it. I work a lot of crazy hours, so the time I get home, I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I hear you. There's times I definitely don't watch it. Don't want to watch it. I watch it for the sake of the podcast most of the time. Excuse me. But if I don't have that channel, so I usually watch it on Twitch. I know a website that I can go to that I watch it on like the next day. It's on demand on this website if I can't find it. So if I don't watch it live.
So the last episode I seen of Impact was in November of 2017.
See, you missed some good stuff, man. There's been some good stuff since. I mean, right now I think what they're doing, the AEW crossover, I think it's been pretty good.
Oh yeah, Kenny Omega. Went.
Omega, now Private Party, and Matt Hardy have gone there. What else was there? There's supposed to be more coming at some point. I think the Jacksons at some point are going to show up. I just think that Impact does a lot of weird things. You know, their management has always been all over the place, and I think that they got to. I don't know, man. I just think that they love bringing in ex-WWE guys. You know, I've always said it was like purgatory for wrestlers. You know, it's not, they don't necessarily go to like the next big league. It's just like they're down at the bottom waiting to get called up from AEW or, you know, back to the shitty indies kind of a thing. So they, you know, some guys, they'll hire anybody if they got that WWE tag on them, you know.
That's basically all I have for topics, unless you want to, either one of you guys want to talk about anything else.
So what else do you guys, what do you want to talk about, Greg? This is the first time I've sat here and talked with you.
I go with the flow, so anything you want to talk about.
Greg, when did you get into wrestling? Let me ask you.
I watched it when I was younger, the whole DX in school. Mr. Kramer, stop doing the DX. And I was like, I went to Catholic school, and I was like putting DX stuff in every day. They're writing notes to my parents, and they're like, can you tell your son to knock it off? And I'm like, it's me. And they're like, knock it off, Mr. Kramer. And I stopped after the whole Benoit thing. And when I was working, one of my wrestling groups on Facebook, I said, let me make this group on Facebook. If it does good, I'll continue on. And it blew up in like 1 week. I said, I got to get back in wrestling and stuff. I was doing meet and greets, and I was doing like a meet and greet almost every week. My job was killing me. It's like, you really need to take off. I'm like, no, but I want to meet my favorite wrestler.
Right. Yeah, I hear you, man.
I was gonna lose my job. I said, if I don't meet Scott Hall, I'm gonna lose my job. It's like, but I said, I'm calling out. And that was the best day of my life. Like, who's Scott Hall? I'm like, look him up.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone called out of work, but I've definitely gone to a lot of meet and greets I probably shouldn't have. You know.
I spent a lot of money at a wrestling convention. I'm like, well, like.
Yeah, I mean, how often do those conventions happen? Not that often. You know,
no,
now with the pandemic happening, there's nothing going on. So I mean, you know, the virtual stuff is very big, and I think it's very positive. It's helped a lot of people that can't get
Rick,
wrestlers.
Rick,
Yeah.
there has been one convention because I know Greg watches a YouTuber called Grim, and he went to a convention, met Doink and several other wrestlers.
Where was
that? Oh,
that?
yeah. That was in Jersey.
I didn't think. I thought Jersey was still shut down. I know somebody that runs a convention up there.
Oh, Jersey, that mayor's tough. He's like, you can't go out. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's very bizarre. So, what else? Anybody? So, yeah.
Rick, how many wrestlers did you meet?
How many? Oh,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. I don't know. A lot. I mean, I've met a lot of guys over the years. Trying to think. I've met a lot of guys from indie talent to local guys to, big stars. Trying to think who else I've met. Damn, I can't even think of it. I think the first time, like, I met Scott Hall before.
Yeah, I met him. I met him too.
When he was Razor Ramon in, it'd be 93, 94, 92, something like that, around there. I'm trying to think, like, between that one, probably Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig might have been the first two wrestlers I've ever met, I think. After that, I think I went to WrestleMania 11, and there was like a convention, like a meet and greet there. When it was free, they used to have this thing called the Fan Fest.
Okay, I heard of that.
Yeah, there used to be so many great talents that were there. Like Shawn Michaels was there, Bret Hart was there, Jerry Lawler. I think the only person that wasn't there was because the main eventing people like Diesel and who was the main event? Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow. But I got to meet everybody else that was there. Bob Holly was there. Luger wasn't there, I don't think. But I got to meet Hillbilly Jim. I met Chris Candido before he was just coming in to WWF. This is like right before he had come in, like a week before. I think he had already signed, but they brought him into the convention before Skip and Sonny debuted, basically. So I don't know, man. I've met a lot. That was like kind of like the first experience. Then I didn't, I went a few years without meeting people, and then started going to ECW shows and indie shows, and just I've met a lot of people since the '90s, since A lot of people.
Same here.
Yeah.
I look at my memories. I'm like, I really met these people.
Yeah. And the thing is, but when I first started out, there was no such thing as social media. So I have, I don't have a lot of records of people. You know what I mean? A lot of ways to remember. My buddy would remember more because I was usually with one of my buddies, and he has a so much better memory than I do about meeting certain people. Sorry, guys. I think everybody's coming down. So yeah, that's always a fun. I love meet and greets. There's a meet and greet tomorrow here in town, but I'm not going. I don't know if you guys know Randy Hogan. He was a jobber in the WCW in the 80s.
Oh,
you friends with him on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm Facebook friends with him. He's like, buy my autograph. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but no.
Nah, he was, yeah, he used to get his ass whooped every week on TV. He had a short run in WWF too. Yeah. So how many DVDs do you own, Gregory?
Good question. I don't know. I probably have like 4 racks. I have some in my closet and some on a bookshelf.
Yeah. What do you primarily collect?
WWE and shoot interviews.
Shoot interviews. Okay. I got some shoot interviews. I gotta find them all, but
My first shoot interview was an Eric Bischoff shoot interview. The owner of RF Video was like, "You like Eric Bischoff?" And I'm like, "No, but I'll check it out." And I fell in love with it. I'm like, "Holy, this is great."
I don't even remember the first shoot interview I ever watched. I think my buddy got the Shawn Michaels one at the time period, and that wasn't the first one, but I think that was the first big one that got the attention, and so how he ended up making more and getting into that as a business. Yeah, now you know RF?
Yeah, I know Rob very well.
Really?
He
How do you
used
know?
to come.
Go ahead.
He runs a wrestling convention in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and he comes to my job all the time. I'm like, Rob, can you get me some free DVDs? And he's like, can you get me in the movies for free? I said, we'll talk. And we never did, but
Yeah. I don't know. He used to sell at the ECW shows back in the day.
Yeah.
He used to, and I used to see him all the time. But he got himself into a little trouble legally. I don't know if you guys ever heard that stuff.
I think so. I never really asked him, but it's none of my business.
I wouldn't ask him. It was kind of crazy, but it made national news and all this other stuff. But
I did see a video of that on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah. What about you, Donnie? Do you collect shoot interviews?
No, I don't currently really have any quote unquote shoot interviews.
Yeah. So what do you watch mostly, Don? Just WWE and AEW?
Yeah, that's basically all I have.
Okay.
I do have some non AEW and WWE DVDs, but there's not really anything that spectacular.
Did you guys order from Pro Wrestling Tees?
Yeah,
no, I haven't.
Did you see they got a new mobile app?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been poking around.
I currently have it down. I downloaded.
I downloaded it today. I kind of want to spend a lot of money that I shouldn't, but I need any more wrestling shirts.
I actually downloaded it the day it launched.
Yeah, I wasn't able to. There was something wrong with my phone, and then I went into it again today. They actually send. I get text alerts from Pro Wrestling Feed, so they ended up sending me an alert. But then today I tried it again and it worked. So whatever. So I've been poking around on that. They got a lot of really great stuff on their website, and they got a really good mission as well, supporting. All the money goes to the actual wrestlers. After it was really good. And they got Owen Hart hoodies. Did you buy that yet, Donnie?
Yeah, I do. I have. I done that. I done that probably 2-3 months ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was that old. I didn't know it came out then.
It's actually a day unboxing for it.
All right. So, did you guys see about Dark Side of the Ring, the new season that's coming out?
I did hear about that.
Yeah. So some really crazy episodes coming out.
I'm not sure about all of the ones that's been released, but I do know that Brian Pillman is supposed to be one of the episodes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Brian Pillman one. There's gonna be a Chris Canyon one. Let's see, what's the other one like that? There's one supposed to be on Johnny Canine, who apparently he. I forgot about that guy actually. To be honest with you, I was talking to my buddy about it today, and I had always remembered the name, but I guess that he went to prison for murder or something like that. So the story is going to be based around that. There's going to be an episode on the Smith family, like Jake Roberts and his father and sister and brother that were all wrestlers. Let's see, what else is there? I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. I have all the information in my phone, but I'm using Skype on my phone. So, what was it? FMW, the Japanese promotion that hosted Cactus Jack and Terry Funk back in the day. That death match that made them this, and just a bunch of other stuff. It just I love that show. It's just sometimes very, very sad to watch.
Yeah. My favorite one was the Chris Benoit and Owen Hart one.
Yeah, you watch those, and sometimes you get a little teary-eyed watching some of that stuff. Especially the Benoit, because I was such a huge Benoit fan. I still am to this day.
I remember his death like it was yesterday. I'm like,
yeah,
and I'm like, how? I thought someone killed him or anything. And the next day, my parents like, he killed himself. I'm like, what? And people were calling me, and before social media, my phone was blowing up that night. Like, are you watching Raw? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember my cousin calling me, and I was talking on the phone the whole time. I'm like, there's no way that he did it. There's no way, yada, yada. And I kind of got pretty teary-eyed. It was very sad to watch. And then come to find out the next day, they revealed that he did it. And I was like, oh, my God. So it was just very sad.
Quite honestly, I have a little bit of a funny story when it comes to Benoit. To start off, I love Chris Benoit, at least up to the point where the tragedy happened. When I was 4 years old, I actually put the Crippler Cross face on my 4-year-old, he's 4 years older cousin, and there's actually my aunt actually has a picture of me putting the Cripple Crossface on him.
That's pretty funny.
And say, but up to like I said, up to that point, I loved Chris Benoit, and then once I found out that he killed his wife, his son, and himself, I started hating him.
Yeah, there's been times where I was just like, I don't understand this, but at the same time, you sit there and it's like, you really don't know what was going on in his head. He had a lot of issues, injuries, and stuff like that, and brain damage and stuff like that. So that probably took over,
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing with me. It took me time to do some research and find out all these things about him, that he had brain damage, that he had the brain of like a 90-year-old Alzheimer's patient, and all that. And then I put that to a side and just focused more on his wrestling ability and his wrestling career than anything else that in his personal life.
It was very hard to watch him, for a number of years. But then, it's like as time went on, I'll still go back and watch his stuff. ECW, WCW, WWE. His matches with Kurt Angle, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, I was thrown. I watched everyone in the series like a couple weeks back, and it's just sit there in awe at how fucking great they are. You know.
And say, I know Greg's seen it, but through the wrestling DVD room that the DVD Freak created on Facebook, someone posted about one of his autographs that they saw on eBay for like $9 something. Was wondering if that was real.
It was like $10, and I'm like,
yeah, there's no way in hell that's real. And
I'd agree with what the Freak said. It was like hundreds of dollars for his autograph.
I've seen them sell for 300 to 350 generally. You know what I mean? Around there. I'm just like, you guys friends with that guy? You guys friends with that guy?
Ryan?
The guy that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm friends with him. He's a fellow YouTuber who's trying to grow his channel.
I just thought it was just like he didn't even do any kind of research on that. He just came off as an idiot to me. So,
I don't know if he bought it, and I'm like, I was working when he said it. I'm like, I don't know if it's real.
It even says it. It even said somebody posted underneath it later on. It says reprint on the thing. He didn't look at it. He didn't read it at all.
The only way I would buy an autograph is if it had a certificate of authenticity.
Yeah, like that Edge, like the Edge one.
Yep.
Yeah, the authenticity is where it's at. You know, Benoit. You know, those are not that easy to come by. They're out there, but they're not like easy like that. That guy just, I don't know, man.
Even his DVD's so expensive. Hard Knocks on Amazon. I'm like, wow, I got mine for a good price. Maybe like $15.
I bought mine brand new when it came out. I don't even think I have it anymore, but yeah. So yeah, man. What else, Donnie? What else you want to say?
It's basically it for me. Unless there's anything you guys want to talk about, we can just go ahead and wrap this up.
All right, man.
Yep.
So you guys want to share anything?
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for having me, Donnie. Greg, finally great to be doing something with you. Check out the PWZ podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go like, subscribe, share. You will have tons of fun listening to our garbage.
I've been listening.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
I've been sharing it every day.
I know. We really appreciate it. We haven't not noticed. We've definitely noticed. Everybody's noticed.
Yeah, people like, oh, you help a radio show out. I'm like, yeah, I help a lot of people out. Wrestle Rampage, Dan, The Freak, Patrick, Donnie. You name it, I'd probably help them.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming out. A lot of stuff coming out. We've been really slow this week, but I got part 2 of the Chili Willy interview coming out at the end. I think Monday. I think, and I don't know what else, but we got some other stuff coming out. We're gonna do a Royal Rumble predictions show. Just got a bunch of other stuff coming out.
Hey, Greg, want to share anything before we end?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can probably find me. I'm not that hard to find. But if you want to be a wrestling, you want to join my groups, I'll let you join.
That's it? You want to say something, Rick?
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Donnie.
See you guys next time.